Absolutely. So we're here, the first session of the day. Very excited to bring this to you. We have some amazing expert panelists with us. We have the director of HR, we have a travel counselor, and we have the managing director of a hospitality school. And we're going to have a lovely session where they talk about their experiences on how to gain a career in the industry, which I think is why everyone is here. So let's go around the panel. I'm Sarakshi Rai. I'm the online editor of HoteliaMiddleEast.com, and I'll be moderating the session. And let's go around and let's introduce ourselves and talk us a bit about how you got started in this industry.
Alrighty, my name is Fatuma Hamzia. I'm the Cluster Human Resources Director at the Radisson Blue Hotel, Waterfront and Canal View. I'm Sri Lankan and I've been in Dubai now 15 years. So how I started my career in the industry, I was literally thrown in. It was my choice, but I started as a secretary to the general manager 15 years ago with Intercontinental Hotels Group. Prior to that, I was in telecommunication and banking and finance industry. So I wasn't really sure where I was going when I started in the hotel. Actually told myself, I'll give it a try for about a year or so because I came to Dubai after a very bitter divorce. So my sister here said, come on over, just let the dust settle back home. So just hang around. So I started in this hotel and I thought, okay, let me try for a year. And then after about 3 months, I still remember my general manager coming and telling me, your probation is due for confirmation. Do you still think this is the industry you want to stay? And I asked him, what do you think? And he said, I think you're just doing great. That smile gets you wherever you want to go. So what I found about the industry is that this particular industry gave me the freedom to be who I wanted to be. It allowed me to bring my creativity. It allowed me the chance to think the way that I want to think and bring my own ideas into the way the hotel was being operated. And that's what get me going. And then, yes, of course, I got into training, L&D, became a master trainer, and now I'm the cluster director of human resources. Really? Think so? Thank you.
Let's go on to Abdo.
Hello, everybody. My name is Abdu. I'm a travel counselor or a travel specialist. The company name is Travel Counselor. How I started this business is a pure passion for travel. Originally, where I came from, I studied science. I became a chemist, but then again, because of my love for traveling and discovering places, I thought, okay, I'll make a career out of it. So I studied travel and tourism again, got my degree, and started working 10 years ago. Here I am now, and I'm the one that people come to me to ask me about destinations and help them with the plan for their travel. I'll make it brief this way.
And now on to Judy. Let's hear from you.
Thank you. So, good morning, everybody. Let me just start by saying, well, my name is Judy Ho. I'm the managing director of the Emirates Academy of Hospitality Management here in Dubai. Very happy to be on this panel with the elite panelists and our lovely moderator. I think I'll just make it brief. I've been in the hospitality, travel, tourism industry for a little bit over 20 plus years. Actually started off in hotels, really, but very similar to Abdul, I didn't study hospitality at the very beginning. My undergraduate degree was actually in English literature, and that was my major, and I minored in business. So it was basically a Bachelor of Arts and Science, basically. I fell into the industry by chance. However, I've always had a passion for hospitality. I love hotels, love eating and drinking. So that's why I started in a part-time job when I was in college in New York. As most of you know, New York City is quite expensive. So studying in a university in New York City sort of had to make a little bit to subsidize your hobbies, which is eating. So that's how I started in the industry. And then I progressed. I went on 10 years later to get a master in hospitality in Switzerland, and then I was offered a job actually at the institution I was studying at to teach. So I ended up staying and taught, and that's how I actually entered into the hospitality education arena. Then I was back into the business. I did quite a number of years with Hyatt and then Mandarin Oriental, doing a lot of openings in the US and Asia Pacific. Then I went back to the education sector. So another 10 years later, I'm here in Dubai. So before here, I was actually the CEO of Glion Institute of Higher Education in Switzerland. So I was there for about 3 years, looking after 3 campuses with 2 locations in Switzerland and the UK.
And now you train the next generation of
I
hospitality
do.
professionals.
We do, actually. I have a team, actually, and our Director of Industry Liaison and Career Development, Marina, is here also. So we'll stay around after the panel to answer any questions you might have as well.
What Judy didn't mention is that she got a full scholarship to study hospitality in Switzerland.
I did, yes.
So very modest of you. So let's get right into the thick of it. Let's go around. What are the skills that hospitality professionals need today? They might have been different from when everyone started out, but today, what are the important skills that they need to succeed in this industry? Judy, should we start with you?
Sure. I think obviously hospitality, travel, and tourism is still a people business. So you will need soft skills. I think it really, we had this discussion before the panel starts. It really doesn't matter what you study. If you have a degree in hospitality, travel, and tourism, great, it helps. But it really boils down to also the people skills that you're going to need. Plus, obviously, the ability to master now all of the different technology. I think this generation, many of you in the audience are probably, I would say, technology savvy to a certain extent, but much more technology dependent. So, the opportunity to hone in your soft skill, that means people, communication, people skills, understanding people, understand communication, and the cultural awareness and diversity. Of course, here in Dubai, we're very fortunate to be such a cultural melting pot. I've never seen any city like Dubai. It's very unique. The opportunity to interact with people from different cultures is very important. So the ability to anticipate what your guest or your guest on the other end of the phone or the app even that you're communicating with is very, very important. I would say, again, it boils down to the soft skills that's going to set you apart.
I mean, Abdul, you deal with people on a daily basis. So, I mean,
Yes.
someone coming into the industry, say in the travel and tourism sector, what skills do they need now?
You see, you can build your skills in different ways, but this business in particular is still like, despite all the technology that, of course, we are coping with, but it still needs that human factor, like how to deal with people, communications. So that you can do this if you have, again, I'm going to use this word maybe a lot, the passion. So if you are passionate about what you do, because this work needs this daily motivation that makes you really like happy of what you're doing. If you have this, then the other skills will come along, of course. Yeah.
And as the director of human resources, that probably makes most of the hires in your hotel. What are the skills you look for when you hire people?
As I said before, it's the interest, it's the passion. If I ask you, what do you think you should have in order to get into the hotel industry? What would you say? Passion, yes. Interest, yeah. Tell yourself, are you someone who likes to have people around? Do you like to invite people to your house? And when they come, you arrange the house properly, you set up this lovely food, and when they go, they say, oh, you got a fantastic party organized, you got a fantastic house. How would you feel? Satisfied. And of course, you put it on social media, talk about it. If that makes you happy, go for it. You're in the hotel industry.
Yeah, that was very nicely put, I think. Now
Take this from your home until like you're talking about your country then, right?
Now, coming back to the industry, what are the skills when you started out that you think you didn't have or needed to develop? Because I think we all, when we start out, we think we know it all a little bit. We've gotten an education, we've worked our, butts off to like get through graduate school or school. And we kind of come with this, we know a lot, we can conquer the world. But that's not usually the case. We do have to rely on a lot of experience that we learn working in jobs. So what do you think when we started out, or what do you think the generation now, what were the skills lacking that you think, we need to focus on?
Well, actually, when I started 15 years ago, I thought I needed more patience. Thank God that my son was 4 years, so I managed to practice it at home as well. But for the or the new generation, young ladies and boys here, what I would say that you really need to know is know the industry well, learn everything that you can, understand the market that you want to go into, and know where you fit. And most importantly, understand if your personal values match the values that you're going to move into. If the industry values is yours, this industry, as I said before, again, it allows the freedom. If you're someone who values the freedom and bringing your own signature personality into that, then go for it. Did I answer the question?
So I think so,
Yeah.
yeah.
But just being aware about the industry, because majority, let me tell you, I'm a Muslim, I come from an Islamic background. The first thing when I said I'm working in a hotel back home, hotel, especially for a woman, I said yes, but you have to work long hours, night duty. Maybe sometimes, so what? Yeah, that's what my mom expected me to do back home. So challenging that mentality, understanding it is actually a profession. It actually takes quite a bit of knowledge and your own hard work kind of makes it a difference.
So hard work and passion
Okay.
and patience.
Patience,
And what
yes.
about you?
Yeah, patience. Yeah, I think it needs a lot of patience, and this industry is global. It's just a worldwide industry we're talking about, and it has a lot of opportunities like nothing else in any other industry. So that's where patience come. And if you have it, and then you can along the way you can try different things, and it's. You can work for a hotel, airline, DMC, or destination management. You can be a travel specialist. It offers you a lot of opportunities in different areas of the business. And if you are patient enough, you can really have this, like I said, as your career, and it comes along with your passion, and if and what goals also you set for yourself.
Judy, as someone who trains, an entire generation of hospitality students now, what are the skills you think that they need to capitalize on or they lack when they first go out into the working world?
So I want to talk about myself when I started, because I think our two panelists captured it quite well. But really today, what we're seeing is there's three things I think we would encourage students, and we do train students or focus on actually developing student skills are communications. Again, that's both communication in person and on paper, as well as if you're using technology to communicate. That's very different, because in the hospitality sector, again, I go back to what Abdul said before, is it's a people business. The way that we communicate has changed drastically. It is still very much a people business, and you need to, if you are in this sector and you have aspiration to become the leader or a manager, okay, manager and then leading a company, these are big business, and you need to be able to understand how you communicate upwards and downwards and vertically and horizontally. So meaning that you have to be able to speak to your bosses, you have to communicate clearly to your direct reports, to your customers, and to your peers as well. So that skill is really very important. This is why education will help us as well, because we do focus on homing your communication skills in multi-platform. That's one. The second is collaborations. The skills to be able to collaborate, because again, we work in an environment, hotel or travel tourism is a team effort. You don't deliver experience on your own. Yes, you do in certain aspect. When you're interacting with guests, you're part of the bigger pictures. But that collaboration across department, cross team, and cross the operation is extremely important. So understanding how you collaborate to make sure that the guest is happy, or you're providing the type of service they're looking for and the experience they're looking for. Because guests today are very demanding. Customers today are very demanding. You just think of yourself as a guest. If you're going into a hotel, whether it's a luxury hotel or mid-range or comfort hotel, there is different expectations. So you have to manage that, and collaboration is very important. So, and the third thing I would say is the business acumen. Okay, most of the people, I think, when we talk about hospitality, travel, and tourism, we say it's very difficult for us to convince students or their parents that this is a huge career opportunities, that you can fast track your career, and this is a career that's going to bring you a lot of self rewards, because you are actually making people happy. Okay. But it's, at the end of the day, it's still a business. So I think many of you are here today, not necessarily you think that hospitality, I hope you don't think that hotel business or travel counselors are just operators at the back end of the phone, or you're actually in restaurants serving people. No, that is not the business. We're looking at multi-billion-dollar business. Look at Marriott today. Marriott acquisition of Starwood last year is a huge billion. They are now the biggest hotel company in the world. These are billion-dollar business. So if you are interested in a career in travel and tourism and hospitality, you have to understand the business and how it functions. You be able to understand the P&L, what are the margins. So it is still, at the end of the day, a business that you're running. So I would say the business acumen, these three areas are probably the areas or skill sets that we home into our students in terms of developing future leaders for the industry and actually the adjacent sectors.
So a lot of working together in teams, because even today, the hotel industry or the travel and tourism industry, you're not just one person working in isolation.
That's right.
You could be collaborating if you work for a big, company like, say, Radisson or Marriott. You could be working with someone who's across time zones. So, you have to learn to, I think what Judy was saying, learn to collaborate and work together. But just to give you an idea, so we have someone from the banking and finance industry, past, a chemist, and an English lit major, who are now all hospitality professionals. So how important is work experience, or getting an internship or working when you first start out in the hospitality industry? Because you could be anywhere from a hotel GM to an HR professional, to an engineer, to a front office manager, to a travel counselor, to a chef. You could be working in any sector of the hospitality industry. It's so vast and there's so many options out there. How important is work experience in order to figure out the stream that you want to work in?
I would say extremely. And that's part of the reason why, for example, we built our curriculum around the internship that we encourage. Actually, it's a mandate. Part of the curriculum or part of the criteria for a student to graduate is that they have to do a minimum one internship of 6 months in a hospitality related sector. Again, that could be in service, that could be in events, that could be in adjacent hospitality sectors. So having a work experience is ultimately what's going to bring you the knowledge, because it's a very intensive sector. We always say the knowledge you learn in the classroom, there are theories and there are applications. And we encourage students to take the theoretical learning, and apply in a work environment, because that's what's going to make you stick. That's what's going to make the knowledge stick. I will quote Confucius, I'm Chinese American, I can't help it, is that I see, I remember, I hear, I understand, I do, I will carry on forever. Now, having that process is very important. That's why the structure of our curriculum, first year is the in-class experience with some practical training. And the second year, we ask the student to go into the industry and do actually a 6 months internship. And you earn credits for that. You have to be assessed. Then you come back, then you go on to the managerial and business courses. That's going to help you build your character, build your strength, and build your leadership skills. That's going to prepare you for that managerial job in the future. So that is really, really important. And we work with sectors. Actually, we collaborate a lot on placing interns in different hotels and with different departments, different operations, because let's face it, we talked about collaboration. There's so many opportunities in just hotel, travel, tourism sector that you can be exposed to marketing, HR, and engineering, and so on and so forth, that are transferable skills that you can actually take outside of hospitality industry or travel and tourism industry into another sector.
What about you?
Okay, I think that in this industry is even if you're studying something else or you're running through the school, university, in any other field of studies, you can still build your skills easily. Like when you're traveling, you are building some skills towards the travel industry. When you are going around discovering places, seeing destinations, checking in a hotel, you know the process. You go through the airports. These are all like skills that help you in this business. So and it's also the industry give you a lot of opportunities to do. Like she said, it's about the internship, about the doing these short time jobs like while you're studying. It will all build up skills, and this industry gives you the opportunity more than any other industry with this flexibility to do this work in some part of the hotels, even learning. You know, it's all there, and this is where you use the technology. We can learn about places, learn about the hotels, maybe the airlines, and this you can build your skills this way.
So use everything as a learning opportunity,
Yeah.
I think is what you're trying to say.
Yes, exactly.
I mean, as an HR director, do you consider people with work experience? Do you place them higher than, say, people with non-work experience?
Work experience, as Judy said, is always helpful. Whatever the experience you gain in your life is always going to help you out. And work experience in that sense, yes. So it is an advantage for a fact, but it is not mandatory. It's never mandatory to have a hospitality degree as such, yeah, but it helps. Most importantly, and I think I said earlier as well, this is one industry where I look at it as a school itself. You learn. And I've seen people moving on from this industry to become designers, to architectures, even moving on. So it actually builds you. And this is one industry that builds the character as well. So if you have that basics, of course it helps. And then don't stop at it, but move on. It's not mandatory, it's helpful.
So it helps. Every little bit helps, right? Now, coming back, now there was this global study done recently where millennials are less loyal to their employers these days. I'm a millennial. If I don't like the way things go, I do look into the possibility of changing jobs. And invariably, we change jobs a lot. Almost, according to the study, millennials change jobs every year. Now, is this a hindrance to a successful career? Is it helpful? We did have a very animated discussion before all of you got here, so I'm trying to get them to say the same things again. But
Yeah, I think my opinion it's changing every year is a little too extreme. Try to stick at least for about 3 years. Changing jobs adds to that. As I said, experience makes you who you want to be. It always adds. Experience the world. It's lovely. And experience all the options out there. But sticking to the industry helps. And I think once you get into this industry, it's really difficult to move on. And this is one industry that allows you and gives you the opportunity to travel around as well. Use those opportunities within the industry, but try to stay. It helps a lot.
Well, I think it's just a personal, of course, opinion and decision of what you see in your career path and if you want to change. But if you want to take my advice, again, it's just make the effort, for whatever you do. If it's going to last for a year or 2 or 3, and again, the industry full of opportunities. If you want to try to change to a different maybe of what you do. This is what I've done in my career. Like I didn't talk much about the details, but I worked for an airline. I worked for hotel wholesaler. I worked for a travel agency, a destination management company, a tour operator. So I try to gather all the sides of the business. So if you want to do that kind of a change, yes, maybe, but if probably try different aspects of the industry.
I think more about learning more
Yeah,
skills
it's-
within the same industry that you're in. I don't know,
Yeah.
Judy?
Yeah, I think, the discussion we had, I'll bring it up before we start the panel discussion, is the fact that, look, again, I think you're absolutely right, Abdul, is it's highly individual. I think you have to know yourselves. There is no right or wrong in changing jobs. The frequency, of course, the statistic says that before you hit 30, the millennial, you would have changed job 15 times. That's it's a lot, but a lot to whose standard, right? We're coming from, obviously you're a millennial, I'm a Gen X, and we're probably all we're working this is an interesting time we're in, where you have three now coming up to the four different generations working together. There is the baby boomers that are really, I think most of you are looking at the baby boomer like they're grandfathers now. And then there is the Gen X, Gen Y, which is those are before the millennials. Really, there's no right or wrong. I think, sticking with the industry is good. I think you need to be able to show on your CV and when you get into the interview and explain why you changed jobs so many times and what are the values you can add as an individual to the organization, as that's most important. That's one area. I think, and I hate to use the term snowflake. How many of you heard of the snowflake generation? I think we're describing, and again, it's not meant to offend anyone, but the snowflake generation is a generation where it's associated with a millennial. It's a term, but it's not synonymous for everybody. It depends. Obviously we are exposed to a lot of choice today. And we also understood that from research, millennials and interacting with our students, that they want a work-life balance. And that's not wrong. Hotel and hospitality sector is a time-consuming sector. And a lot of times we are also asking ourselves, how do we engage with the next generation so that we can offer opportunities that meet your values, that we can offer the lifestyles that you want to. And that is where technology also comes in. I think it's really up to you what you want to make out of your career, and look at what your career path is why you make that change when you decide to make that change. Don't make that change because you don't like something. I think it goes back to both of you what you say about patience. Have a little patience and have faith in the organization that things will change if you give feedback. And I go back to what we talk about communication. Be able to communicate, contribute. I think a lot of times the patience is very important for this generation. Look, perhaps you have a great degree from an Ivy League school and you graduated. Now you think that you can enter the industry as a general manager or the leader of or the CEO of the company. Look, that's not realistic. You got to put in the time and effort to understand the organization, how it behaves, how it operates, and what are the uniqueness before you actually become that person to lead the organization. So I think patience does take a little time as well. So no right or wrong in changing job regularly, but have a good reason, not just because you don't like something that happened to you today. Your boss maybe talked to you about something that you didn't really want to hear, and then you're thinking about quitting. So that would be the advice we give to this generation. So look, have a little faith and understand what you want, and then ultimately build that career path that's going to help you get there.
Yeah, very valid point. Really, it's not about the choices, because once you step in this industry, you'll find it how actually somehow amazing and easy to find a lot of choices. But and it's going into all aspects of life. Now you go on this technology and the apps. It's like all about choices and multi choices, and you want to go somewhere. There's like hundreds of hotels and other like things that you can do, but don't do it for the multi choices, like a lot of choices that you get. Probably do it more of what you want, yeah, and what values that you're looking for, or what goal have you set for yourself. Yeah.
I know I do see a couple of questions, but we do have a Q&A round just to let everyone know. So we can do that at the end. But yeah, so coming back to this point about, just sticking it out, maybe it might not work for you once you stick it out, but maybe it might just. Isn't that right?
Well, I think it's not about sticking out. It's more about finding the understanding of what you want to do. Sometimes sticking it out is not the right thing either. Sometimes we also from an organizational perspective say, look, I think it's time for this person to move on because organizations also change. And your value and the organizational value need to be aligned in order for you to have a successful career. So it's very important that when you choose the company that you want to work for, or actually the industry you want to get in, you understand why you want that. Okay, I think I go back to Fatma's point is the fact that this industry is amazing. I think we all agree industry is amazing. That's why we are so passionate and we love this industry, because it gives you not only flexibility, it gives you the opportunity to travel the world, to see the world at a fraction of the cost if you work for a hotel company or airline, right?
Another thing we briefly touched upon was how companies today, so one of the perks of my job is I get to speak to a lot of people in management positions within the hospitality industry, actually changing the rules where traditional companies are actually becoming more millennial friendly. They don't just ask you what you can give the company, but in fact, companies now want to know what they can give you. So I think also the key is finding the right organization that perhaps is a good fit for you personally. Isn't that right?
Absolutely. And I think you should treat looking for a career, not a job, a career, because we want to focus on career. There's a difference. A job comes and goes. A career is something you stick with. It's like looking for a better half. If you want to marry somebody, you want to be with that person for a little while to get, you don't get, well, I can't speak on all that behalf, but it really is like finding a soulmate that you like, or someone who is your friend. You should treat your career as that. Is somebody that you're going to stick with, or an organization that you aspire to join. Do your research, and this is what we always tell our students: is do your research. We invite industry to come and talk to our students, organization to come and tell them about what's their corporate value, what is the culture, what's the work environment like, and we let the student understand. Individual company is all different, right? Radisson Blu is quite different. It's very millennial friendly versus maybe a more traditional hotel may not suit your taste, but everyone is different. So we tend to wanting to make sure that yes, it's a marriage between two entities, is the organization and the person.
I mean, Fatma, your GM is very different. He's lovely and he greets everyone by their first name and knows everyone. So there are different kind of hospitality companies out there, isn't it?
Yes, I still remember one of the students for the internship. He was like 19 years old or so. And at the Skype chat, he asked me, I actually had a lovely beard, like, says, will I be allowed to keep my long grown beard? It's my passion. And it's a simple thing, the little problems that they have before they decide what they want to do. And I said, of course, that's your pride. Leave it. That is who you are. That brings his own flavor. So and I think, like Judy said, it is a marriage. When you're young, you want the vibrancy in a relationship, fun, new stuff. Yeah, but after 20 years of marriage, talk to your parents. It's a different route. You want more stability in your life. You want to be around the dependent. So, and the best part about the industry is you get all the choices. You join Radisson Blu, you have that vibrancy, yeah. But I'm sure another hotel's values would be different.
So let's move on to some of the advantages of working in the hospitality industry. Now, why do you want to work in the hospitality industry? Let's hear from our experts. What are the advantages of working as a hospitality professional? Why would they want to work in the hospitality industry?
Well, I'll just say why I like this industry so much is every day is not the same. You're not just at a desk job. Even in education, hospitality education is quite different as well. At the end of the day, we're still a business school, but we're offering much more. And my day is never the same. And when I was in the industry, when I was in operation, I can tell you every day is like you're walking into a new environment because you never know who you're going to meet. You never know what type of stories are you going to hear because it's so diverse. The people that come across in your restaurants or in your hotels or in your office are going to be different. They're from all walks of life. So the attraction is the it's like having a new job really every day and new challenge. That's quite interesting for most of the people. I mean, for myself, I love that. That's one area. And of course, if you're with a big organization, there is plenty of employee perks that you could get discounts, airline discount if you work for Emirates. I think people get to fly for free for Emirates employees. I think, I don't know, just speculating, well, at least a very high discounts. But in hotel sectors, you know, certainly employee discounts. When you travel, if you work for a large organization, you actually can get a lot of benefits. And that allows you, you know, how many of you don't like to travel? Can I see a show of hand? Don't like to travel. Well, none of you. Everybody loves to travel, I'm sure. And it's a wonderful opportunity to work for a company that actually takes you to see around the world. And it's even better if you work at a company, they take you, they're paying you to see the world. Because if you're actually rotating around in different hotels or different offices, you can see the world. I was born and raised in the US, but I've lived in 4 different continents. I've worked in different international cities. I haven't been home. Home is US for us, so we haven't been home for the past 15 years because I've been traveling with the organization and I've seen the world. My kids have seen the world, and I think I'm so thankful for that opportunity. So those are, I would say, the benefits.
Um, yeah, when you work for the travel industry, which is the fast-growing industry, um, first you are in the. I mean, you will know that you are in the right career, and yes, the benefits of going and traveling, getting access because you're working on the now the travel industry also all about like these big organizations, and then you get obviously a lot of benefits of discounts and travels plan, and meeting other people from the company overseas or other countries. And like you mentioned, I mean, everybody loves to travel. I haven't met anybody in my life that don't like to travel. So if you get the chance to do this while you're working in this industry, it's really amazing. I mean, I've been privileged to travel a lot. I mean, through a business trips, like through the companies that I worked with. This year, we are only in April, and I've done 3 trips, and I have 3 to go. So,
Listen.
if you really want to live that kind of dream, which is traveling and discovering places, this is the right industry for you.
What about you, Fatma?
I agree with both Abdul and Judy. It's all put together. And one more thing that I would like to add is I think because I'm an HR person, in addition to the experiences and the traveling, you actually establish lots and lots of relationships and friendships. Very, very meaningful relationships, very gratifying.
Well, but it's not all good. There are also a few disadvantages that I want our experts to focus upon because that is important to know before you enter the industry as well. So disadvantages really quickly, and then we'll open the floor to questions.
Well, this is strictly not an 8 to 5 job. At least not at the start. So you've got to be prepared to put in a little bit more time. There is time to take off for a fact, but it is more like sometimes a hotel operation is like an emergency room.
Yeah, of course.
You never know what's going to happen next and where you need to run. That actually keeps you kicking as well, but be prepared for that. And I think that's
Yeah,
the
it's
only thing that I see.
the same. It's this industry needs flexible people, open-minded also, and the ones that they think that this is like something they like to do. Like you said, it's career more than a job. So yeah, you be prepared for this. Obviously, it's
call it so much as a disadvantage. It's more about the ability to handle pressure as well, because you need to be so fast and to be able to think on your feet to solve problems. Because people will throw you curveballs that you never encountered before. But part of it is really also the experience. The more you're in this industry, the more you're able to handle these curveballs. But I would say there are crazy stories we can share with you, and it's actually fun. I think it's not so much of a disadvantage rather than an opportunity. So how you turn that situation around and make that seemingly bad situation, and you alone with your knowledge and ability can change that situation into a good. It's guest recovery or these type of things that does happen. And actually, I would say. Obviously, we do talk about the benefit and opportunity to travel the world, but traveling for business, I think for most of us who's done it, is not that glamorous as well. It is, at the end of the day, still a business that you're running. So be prepared to work hard. Hard working, it's a general rule of thumb, will get you ahead in life anytime. That's not hotel industry, travel and tourism. It's applicable for all industry. So that will be all I have to really share.
Any questions? We'll throw the floor open for some questions now. There at the back.
Good morning. My name is Imtiaz Mukbul. I'm the executive editor of Travel Impact Newswire based in Bangkok, Thailand. Question for Judy. This issue of work-life balance, probably one of the most challenging businesses to achieve that. What are your tips on that, and is it actually practical? I mean, at least in the early stages, I think it's highly improbable. And just two follow-up questions, if you don't mind. I'm keen to see that neither of the panelists have mentioned anything about the importance of learning languages or a sense of history, about global history, about who people are, where they come from. I think these are two extremely important criteria, particularly coming from Asia, as you do, and so do I. So I'd like you to just add on that. So work-life balance, languages, and history. Thank you.
Thank you for your questions. So let me take the work-life balance first. I think we are in this hyper-connected world. I actually just recently had another interview and discussion with another organization about this work-life balance. I don't call it work-life balance. For me, personally, I can't comment on how everybody else does it. It's more about work-life integration, okay? You have to be able to find balance in your own life. You have to be able to prioritize what's important. I always say I keep two sets of calendars. I have my work calendars and I have my personal calendars. And I look at both at all times. I have 3 kids at home, ranging from 19, 17 to 11. And I have a family that I need to look after as well. But for me, it's more about work-life integration and find that balance in that integration for the balance that we're searching for. And that's my personal tip, is really how to prioritize what's important for you. And of course, for the youngster who's just starting out in the industry, you're going to take a little time to actually learn about time management as well. And how do we utilize technology to help you find that groove, I would say? How do you find using tools that you can to help you organize your life better? Again, this hyper-connected world is very, very difficult for any one of us to say we can be totally disconnected from work. Because especially when you're in a senior level, or if you're running your own company, you're not going to say, I'm done at 5 o'clock or I'm done at 6 o'clock. We are always on. It's more about finding your own mindset and own balance in your life to understand how you can integrate. You can't separate work from life, at least in my, I would say, as my role. I'm not going to be disconnected from my institution just because it's the weekend. If there's an emergency, I have to be on. I think the same thing for hotels. If you're running a hotel operation, if there's an emergency, God forbid, if fire happens, and it happens at late at night, the general manager is going to be called, and he or she will show up. It's just how you manage your time, really, and how do you actually find efficiency in your life that you can help balance both. And I would say, add on to that is, your family. You have to, again, going back to communication. So important to communicate openly with your family, because they are going to support you, and they have to understand that your job's going to take you away sometimes, or your attention, so make time for your family, make time for your life, and make time for yourself is also very, very important, because sometimes, in a very busy work environment, if you have a big family, it will be hard to make time for yourself, but you have to schedule that. Be disciplined. I would say discipline is going to get you, and be very organized. So, sir, I'm going back to your question on language. Absolutely important. You're absolutely right. Language is very important. And I think, obviously, having that ability to speak multiple language is extremely important. And understanding history and culture, absolutely. And the third, very important. We talked about traveling around the world. I think that component of understanding culture, when you are going into a new city or you're going into a new culture, whether for business or leisure, do some research, understand what the do's and don'ts. Understanding culture sensitivity is very, very important. That's also going to help you in life as well. And so I hope I answered all three questions. Thank you.
Any more questions? Oh, he wants to hear from you two as well about work-life balance.
For me, I totally agree with Judy. I think she just answered it very correctly.
Yeah, the same. I mean, and you have to be on all the time. I mean, when it's for me, it's when I have clients traveling, it's the time that anything can happen, and I always have to be on it. So it's something I voluntarily doing, which is because I like it. So.
There's a saying among journalists, we can never put our phones off. I think it's probably the same for the hospitality industry as well. You never know when a story breaks or when there's a crisis. I saw a question back there.
Yeah, hi, Natasha is my name. I will ask in the name of my students. Since this is a workshop about gaining the career in the industry, what would you suggest to the students how to start, where to go, how to find a job in tourism, especially here in the UAE, or my students are from Abu Dhabi, so it's not only Dubai, but we have other Emirates. So is there any suggestion you might have for the future workers in tourism from the Emirate?
I think starting with a hospitality school is just a great point. And I think we've got quite a lot of schools around, even in UAE and all over. And then also if you're thinking about starting a career in this industry, talk to someone who's already there. It's always interesting to understand that point of view. Someone who's working there, to get their experience will kind of add value to your own thinking. And get into an internship. Give it a try.
Yeah, I think at least one of your friends or family is working in the industry somehow, like in a hotel, airline, or any related business. So you can start with them and talk to them about it, and then open your mind of what this industry is about, and then searching for. I think the searching part, you are really good at this. You can just go online and you can find the major player in the market. For the industry, like hotels or airlines, and then it is from there. It's your easy, I think.
Yeah, I think go back to what we talked about earlier is about internship. Even if you don't do internship, you do a work experience, and it could be a short term just to get some exposure about the industry and understand that. Because you can read all about the hospitality, travels, tourism sector, and we can tell you all about it. But it's an experience that you personally have to take on, to be able to decide for yourself whether this is the right thing for you. I think a short-term internship is always very helpful. I think all of you has been to hotels before, and all of you travel and got on a plane before. I think next time you are in this environment, observe. From a customer's perspective, you consume these services. Now, I think Maman and Abdul all talk to somebody. We actually continuously go into high schools, and we go into university as well. We do workshops with these young aspiring professionals because we have, as an educator, have an obligation, and we also want to support the growth of travel, hospitality, tourism. So we'll be very happy to come and talk to your students as well, to get them just an introduction to what this is, what this industry is about, because there's a lot of misconception. amongst the students and maybe their parents as well. I talked about this earlier, is that this is not just waiting tables. You're not just cleaning a room, and you're not just booking a ticket for somebody to get on a plane and travel somewhere. It's much more than that. So really there's a lot of opportunities that we can engage the young youth. And the travel, I actually have a question for all of you. So does anybody know who the largest employer in the world is? What is the largest sector that employs the most people?
We learned that, girls.
Travel and tourism, close. That's the second largest employer in the world. 1 out of 11 jobs by 2020 will be in travel, hospitality, and tourism sector. But it's actually the government. But if you take government out, it really is travel, hospitality, and tourism. So you're absolutely right. So this sector is huge. The opportunity it gives you. These are data from the World Travel and Tourism Council. So I didn't make that up. I'm just telling you what the data points are. And there's $1.3 trillion in exports just to support this industry. That's the figures that we got in 2016. We haven't gotten the official numbers in 2017 yet. But you look at Dubai, you look at Abu Dhabi, now with the adjacent industry, the culture, Abu Dhabi is now really the culture center, and all these events are coming in. There is a lot more opportunities in this region.
We were talking earlier, 8.3 million jobs in hospitality every year coming up for grabs. So there's room for all of us. I think there's another question. Yeah, Sana, yeah.
Well, I don't have a question, but it's a comment. I'm Mariam at Zayed University, studying tourism.
Hi, Mariam.
Studying tourism and culture communication. And actually, I'm working as a part-time job in a hotel. And actually, I want to encourage students to go to this field, hospitality, especially hotels. You start from the basic. I was in reception, and actually it was really difficult for me to work there because I don't have that courage to communicate with different nationalities, to talk with people. I was actually a shy person. And in my region, and especially, for example, my family, like I didn't get used to talk with different gender, like guys. It was really difficult for me. So it's really a good challenge that you challenge yourself and you go ahead to this this sector, hospitality. And I'm almost like covering 2 years, and actually it's really, 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 really helpful.
That's great. Thank
I
you.
think Mariam needs a round of applause for
That's
actually
right.
learning a new skill.
And look at you having the courage to stand up in a crowd to speak.
That's a success story.
That takes skills.
Bravo.
Any more questions? Yeah, here in the front.
Hello, hi, good morning. I'm Ruzan from Sri Lanka. Hi, ma'am. Actually, I have a couple of questions. I'm into I'm into bachelor's in IT and security, but I'm too much passionate about travel and tourism. But I have a question. I'm from institute, and now I'm working for institute college actually. So I'm not a person supposed to come, but I took a yeah, it's okay. Let me go and take the students and stuff. Yeah. So I have a question for these travel and tourism, which is more important, like a theory or like a practical? Another one question followed by for the ma'am, how do you find potential being inbound and outbound, back in country, I have my brother, we launched a company actually. I'm Sri Lanka holidays, so I was actually 19 years old, and I loved traveling. And actually, I did my bachelor's and I did my CIM, Chartered Institute of Marketing, and my brother's CIMA holder. So he worked and he got bored, 8 to 5. He thought so I'm working for someone else, so let me work that. Let me spend that time for me, and we started with bottom line. So we are the drivers, we are the everything actually. But we had the proud moment, it's when we see the amount, we're getting the profit. So we are happy to work anytime, midnight, we have Asia, Middle East. So sometimes we get clients at 2 o'clock in the morning. Hello, hi, where are you? Stopping working? That's in I got this thing. So how do you find potential? Being in Dubai, we have a lot of potential. But from here, inbound and outbound, to
Okay.
two major things.
So,
there. How do
so
you find
two
that?
questions: theory or practical knowledge, which is more important, and how do you find talent, right?
Like a potential.
Okay.
Both important for the first question. It actually adds value, theory, practical knowledge, all put together. As I said, I think I keep going back to the same thing that I keep saying all the time: experience adds value. Every experience you get is just perfect. So if you have both, that's good. And number two is how we source potential. Interviews? Simple as that. Whenever you see an opening, do apply for it. But personally, for our hotel, I must say, we always look for personality a lot. It really helps. If you have that personality and the passion and the ability to want to be with guests, and still put that smile on your face, go with whatever the pressure you have, it's something that we really look for, and a keenness for the job. If I see you someone, even at the interview, that you're someone that you want to learn, you want to know about this industry, you match with the values, and you're already thinking about where you want to go next, how you want to go, what opportunities are there, that's the spark that I would really, really love to take.
I think we have time for one last question right here in the front. Sorry.
Hello everyone, my name is Aisha and I'm a travel and tourism student from Zayed University, and I have a question from two different perspectives. So you said something about misconceptions when it came to our parents and our families. When I first entered the major, I remember that one comment that everyone used to say, where are you going to work? In the big bus or in in travel agencies? And so can you tell me something, like a really strong argument that I can argue against when it comes to people? You know, there's a huge misconception about travel and tourism, and I know that, but since I'm not really into the field, I don't really have that one strong argument. And from a student's perspective, we're all in different areas in the travel and tourism industry. So what exactly are you looking for? Thank you.
Let me tell you, Radisson Blu Hotels was the first hotel company in Saudi that appointed a female general manager, Maram Kokandi. And I wish she was here. She would have answered your question a lot better than I would. And she did go through all these questions and the looks and the talks. But when she became the general manager, and she's sitting in way more forums than anyone in our company, the way she's inspiring people has made her family and her friends look up to her now. Challenge that thought, challenge whoever who's asking the questions, challenge it back saying, why should I not be in that? What is the reason?
I think because travel is just it's a very new industry in the UAE, so Emiratis in general are not really, they're not really into the travel. They're more into engineering and
Traditional.
yeah, kind of.
This is what we were talking about earlier. I think Judy has a very interesting
and
point.
I think if you look at the employability and the opportunities within this sector, this sector offers a lot of opportunities for a graduate to come in. It's not, we talked before the panel as well, it's not an industry that you necessarily have to really study hospitality, travel, and tourism. If you have a degree, great, that's going to help you, certainly, in this specialized field. But it's an industry that offers a lot of transferable skills and knowledge. It's an industry that needs different people with different knowledge and competencies. And I hope that this also answered the second question, where how do we get those jobs? And so I think it's certainly to go back to the parents again. We as an educator also have the obligation to educate parents, because let's face it, most of our children, because we all have kids, their college degree are funded mostly by the parents. So the parents are also curious as to what is the return on investment that I'm going to get from paying this amount of money for my child to go to university. Is she or he going to be able to get a job? Because if you look at the unemployment rate in the MENA region, okay, Middle East and Africa, it is quite high. It is not the case in Dubai. Dubai has a very low unemployment rate. That's astounding because the job opportunity in the travel service sector, like I say, travel, tourism, hospitality, and related sector, it generates a lot of jobs. Of course, the number one industry here in the UAE is construction. Look at the amount of cranes that's in Dubai and the amount of building that's coming in. But the second, third, there's high tech and also travel and tourism is falling into the top, I would say 5 to 6 industry that actually has the jobs opportunities. And don't think that you're going to be in a low level. For aspiring future hoteliers or operators or travel consultant, this industry can offer you a very fast track career. You can springboard to the next position relatively quick. We have statistics from our graduate alone. Within the 5 years, they go from entry level position to mid to senior management very, very quickly. Versus other industry, it might take you quite some time before you actually can go into the next level, depending.
And facts. Yeah, last
Yeah,
point.
just one word about the arguments that you're going to tell your parents, because I believe in that kids or like young people can educate their families, their parents. And it's you can use the stories like this success story of what she mentioned about the Radisson, and there are a lot of stories like this. Recently I read in a magazine there was an interview with a lady from Maldives. That country also is really like I would say conservative. So about women going out and working in the tourism is really hard and unusual. But the way she represented that to her family and to the people also in the industry, where they're all men, it was amazing. And she is now one of the main key people working for a destination that is everybody knows about, and it's really, really popular.
And I think that's all we have time for. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank
A round
you.
of applause for our panelists. And thank you so much for joining us today. There are a couple of other very interesting talks I think you should all stick around for. But thank you so much for your time.